Irish
wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. Once you say Irish wristwatch, you are ready for podcast.
Irish
wristwatch.
Alright, welcome back to the very first Gamers Association podcast in a few years. This has been a very long time. My name is Jay Curtis. I'm an editor at the site, and with me is Walker Sale and the Hebrew Hammer, Phil. Phil, what's your last name?
Reamer.
Now we know.
Phil Reamer.
The Hebrew Hammer.
What a name. Alright, last week, Star Wars Battlefront, the trailer dropped. Biggest trailer we've seen in a while as far as games go. I know me and Walker are big Star Wars fans. Now, Phil, you...
I am unaffected.
Alright, Walker, what are your impressions of it and just where DICE is taking this?
I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get to see, real engine footage, first-person view, third-person view, whatever. From what I've heard about the game, they're going away from the Star Wars 2, Galactic Conquest is something I wanted to see, and I don't know that we're going to see that. So it's going to be your modern-age shooter, multiplayer-driven game, and I was really hoping that we'd see some more single-player and co-op action.
Man, I'm easy to play. So I was just like, hey, look, it's Dagobah. No, wait, not Dagobah. It was Endor.
Oh, man. I did enjoy it.
It was just, I was just happy to see Star Wars. My biggest takeaway is just they're going back to the original trilogy. Just like, J.J. Abrams is hearing, hey, we hate the prequels. Let's not go back to them again. DICE seems to also understand that. And I love the idea of having it just, honed in on the original trilogy. Now, all right, Phil, just where do you stand on all this? As someone that isn't a Star Wars fan...
it's not that I'm not a fan. It's I've never seen a single movie, played a single game, done anything. So we are outsider looking in territory. From what I've read, it seems like they're condensing from number 2 to this new one that they have here.
Yeah, I think that's
Which
true.
oddly I find isn't number 3, it's just Battlefront.
Yeah.
So... I've heard that the space battles that were in the previous ones are supposed to be cut down significantly now.
Yeah, they're not there.
Which I find... Yeah, they don't exist. Of course cut down. Which I find interesting, because if you look at games that have been doing successfully, Elite Dangerous, FTL, space exploration games.
People like space.
They've been getting reviewed greatly. They're doing well in the market. And then this one comes out and says, no space. You're on the ground. Look at the planets.
No space for you.
Nope, you get no space. So I find that very interesting.
It just reminds me of Battlefront 1 had your ships, but it was, in the atmosphere in quotations, you could fly around, whatever. Battlefront 2 got rid of the ships on land battles, but made that new frontier in space. And that was so interesting. And then I feel like we just take a step back, but a half step back. So we still have ships, but they're not quite in the space. And, it's just...
I find that an interesting move because you would think having more dimensions to it, being able to have this other dimension of practicality of having something else to go to, and now they've moved it down to where it's still all condensed in one plane, if you will.
Yeah. I think it's all about the fact this is a new studio and this is almost a reboot. They haven't used the word reboot, but I think we can call it a reboot.
When you quit the numbering system and just go back to the original, it's a reboot.
The franchise has been dormant since 2005.
Yeah.
I think we can basically call this a reboot, and it was previously developed by LucasArts, who has since closed down, and now DICE is taking over. So my take on this is you have DICE, who that's a huge studio. They have over 250 people employed. They're huge. I think the entire country of Sweden works for them.
That's like an exaggeration.
A slight exaggeration.
More like 5 people in Sweden don't work there.
Okay. It's just one family. They are avidly against video games.
They're in the middle of nowhere. They don't count.
They just make cheese.
Yeah,
cheese.
They make goat cheese.
All right, now that we've gotten off a tangent.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it is just this is a studio that is taking a huge project because that's a big name. Star Wars is the biggest name in entertainment, and the Battlefront franchise was very successful. Yeah. And DICE really hasn't done a lot besides Battlefield. They're also working on Mirror's Edge 2, but. We haven't seen anything about that in a long time.
That's one kind of shuffled away.
Yeah, so this is entirely new territory for them. So the way I see it now, I'm taking this very optimistically, mind you, but I see it as just they just want to get it right. So whether that means space comes as DLC or possibly in a sequel, I think they just want to focus on getting it right for now.
Now, as someone who's not a Star Wars fan, I can say I don't find very much interest in it. Which I think might be something they're going for. If they're trying to keep true to the Star Wars lore, the original trilogy and all that, something outside looking in won't be attracted into it, but someone actually part of the lore and is interested in it will have a lot more interest if they're trying to keep to the formula. Now, if DICE were trying to do something where it's going to bring in people who know nothing, it's going to be dumbed down, it's going to be simplified, I think the direction of that would be much more correct as having just the fans, people who actually appreciate the lore, and trying to attract people like me who are like, pretty space things, bright lights, fun.
Oh man, EA, DICE is great. I like DICE. The engine's awesome. Frostbite engine.
Yeah,
Frostbite
2.0. Frostbite 2.0. Everything EA is using that now.
Frostbite is wonderful.
Yes.
EA Battlefield 4, man, that release, it took, I think, about 1 year for it to get to where it's supposed to be. Netcode, which is, rubber banding across walls or anything, getting shot behind corners. Like, I don't know if we'll see those problems with Battlefront, but it's possible, and, this is coming out, this fall?
Yeah, November 17th.
And is it usual that we're just now seeing, footage like this?
That's a great question. There's a lot to unpack with this. First, let's hit on the point of Battlefield 4 was a disaster at launch.
Yes.
All right, positive side, they really messed up, so now they hopefully will know how to not do it
Hopefully
again.
they learn from the mistake and have a clean launch.
Yes.
And that's been a big thing lately is unclean launches. I mean,
that's a whole topic in itself,
so hopefully they're paying attention to what's going on and going to try to
Absolutely.
prevent an unclean launch.
Yeah. Speaking of unclean launches, Battlefield 4, we can't go back and say it enough. A whole year, and there's okay. I don't know why, but they're releasing a free map coming out, a community-made map. I mean, I'm fine with that, but why?
It's weird that they wouldn't just be in full Star Wars mode, that they still have this team, because they're also working on Battlefield 5. It was revealed, I believe, last month during an earnings report with their stockholders that, hey, Battlefield 5 is supposed to come out fall 2016.
I mean,
that's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They're almost going on a yearly schedule now, aren't they? It's only been because they did.
Well, they started to, but then Hardline was delayed. Visceral,
that's right.
Visceral, the Dead Space people were working on Hardline, but they said they wanted more time. Now I don't really know what that did.
Yeah.
They made it sound like it was going to be a big deal, and I must have just been fixing bugs and stuff because I
just delayed it.
Hardline kind of came and went.
That's the best way
People
to
are
describe
already
it.
tired of it.
Yeah, I know. I've heard
They're going back to Battlefield 4.
Yeah,
I've heard Hardline. People are saying it should have just been a DLC or like an alternative mode to 4 and just added onto it.
Because it looks like DLC. From an outsider's point looking in, Walker's our Battlefield expert, but Phil and I do play it casually.
When I first saw the reveal whatever for it, trailers, some publicity materials stuff, I thought it would be DLC. I was like, oh cool, a cops and robber game mode they're adding.
Not even a full priced game.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like a full.
It just doesn't. It seems. It's kind of like you had a great appetizer to the meal, and then they say, "Hey, here comes the next course," and you kind of get 2 sprig leaves and a bay leaf.
Yeah.
And you're like,
where's the substance?
$20, please.
Yeah. And then they're like, it's not going to cost as much, but shell out.
Exactly.
Yeah. No. Going back to that launch, from the negative standpoint, of course, they really messed up Battlefield 4. They're going to have a lot more people trying to get it on Star Wars Battlefront. Those servers are going to be crowded from day one. I hope they're ready.
A lot of the online stuff always has an iffy day one launch, but I mean that's just from so many people trying to get on day one. But I mean some are always worse than others. I mean GTA Online that took almost a month and a half I think until it was up and running where it's supposed to.
And that was on old consoles too. A lot of these problems have to do with people creating new consoles, new CPUs and processors and all that stuff.
As well,
but that was a last gen launch. Now I think that's just overcrowding because I believe Grand Theft Auto 5 has sold over 40 million copies now. It's insane.
Yeah. And then when you say, hey, congrats, you can play online for the first time, not through a mod on consoles, congrats, everyone's going to jump in there.
Yeah.
Especially since the online was released later than the game.
Yeah.
So people have already played the game, beaten it, they're excited for it, everyone's going to jump on it once.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, trying to go back to Battlefront, do we trust DICE with Battlefront? Because DICE, they make Battlefield, and that's good, but Battlefront and Battlefield sound alike, but they're very different games.
I trust DICE, I do not trust EA. Again, we'll go back to that initial launch. It's just so messy. EA, something about SimCity online.
SimCity was a disaster.
And I love the SimCity series. I was so mad at what they did to it.
All right, well, let's not go on a tangent, but
Yes.
you guys say disaster.
Yes,
EA,
disastrous.
launch, disaster, all goes in hand. And, I feel like DICE, they're the people that are going to try and get it right, but EA's going to be pushing them off that cliff and say, hey, it's time to jump. And then they'll be like, well, we're not ready.
Where's my bungee cord?
Right. They're going to want, especially when you think about how big of a company EA is. They have stockholders, they have shares,
They're so big.
They have stuff that they expect everything online.
Yeah.
They expect it on a date, so that their shareholders are happy, the stocks reflect it, and everyone is happy within the corporate bubble, which puts a lot of pressure on the game developers.
Yeah, EA is definitely a business first, game publisher second, which isn't always a bad thing. Mass Effect, Dragon Age, those are some great series.
Right.
And from a business standpoint, they understand, give BioWare time and they will deliver. But when it comes to this online stuff, you're absolutely right. They are shaky at best.
When it comes to having a business-first type attitude, sometimes it's not necessarily bad. Having to kick the butt is sometimes good for the development process. How long did it take Duke Nukem forever to hit markets? That was a nightmare in its own. Just years in development can happen because, directors like, oh, I want this perfect, I want this one. So they have these huge visions. And sometimes you need someone to walk in and say, here are your strengths. Work within these restraints. Here's when we want it. And sometimes that can do better to have creativity come from your restraint.
Sure.
To have a concise method.
Yeah. Now, Walker, you do say you do trust DICE. Would you mind elaborating on that?
DICE has revealed some very good game quality. They're the next gen. They're the prototypical next gen. You talking? Now, were they involved with Battlefield 3?
3? Oh yeah, they developed Battlefield 3.
Battlefield 3 was a great game. Battlefield 4, another great game, but again, they were just pushed too soon. We had buildings fall down, Levolution events, all these crazy things. Graphically amazing. Dragon Age graphically looks amazing. DICE is quality. I believe in DICE, but EA,
they're the bad guys. They were voted worst company in America 2 years in a row.
They're the only company to win it back-to-back years. No other company. When you think about all the evil corporations that are in there, phone companies, cable companies.
Comcast! They lost to Comcast!
How do you get voted worst company in America 2 years in a row with competition like that?
Everyone hates Comcast, and yet EA wins. It is bizarre. I think EA's hatred is a little bit too much. Maybe even a lot too much.
They didn't get 3 years in a row at least.
Well, look on the bright side.
Exactly. We only messed up 2 years in a row according to a public market.
I think EA does get a lot of flack that is not deserved. But at the same time, that's not to say they should be trusted. I'm cautious because everything about this makes it seem like no matter what, this game has to come out this year. Because you have the movie comes out exactly a month later.
Good point.
The DLC that is going to be for the Battle of Jakku, which is going to take place, I believe, 30 years before Episode 7, that is going to come out on December 1st. So that's 3 weeks before the movie comes out, or 2 weeks before the movie comes out. No, 3. 3 weeks before the movie comes out. And, there's so much going for this.
There really is a window that they need to get this thing out, up, running, and not just out and running, but running well. Because if you have this up right before the movie comes out and everyone's in that Star Wars hype frenzy, and you get something in the way of them enjoying something that they just purchased, there will be hell to pay, for sure.
That's a great point. I forgot. The movie.
It's a window.
This is the biggest thing of the year. This is going to be huge.
You can't just change the movie release date like that.
They need to work within that time frame to get the success they want.
The train is taken off. The train is going there
in motion.
I think EA has already decided. Now you have to also remember this is Disney. Disney is licensing this to EA. EA has the Star Wars license for 10 years, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. We'll just talk about the good for a second. The good, EA knows Disney's biggest entertainment company in America by far, would we say?
Oh, I would say Disney owns so much.
They own ESPN.
ESPN.
Marvel, ABC networks are owned by Disney.
Star Wars, all of Star Wars, all of Indiana Jones, anything Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas is Disney.
Hannah Montana.
Oh, Hannah Montana, by far their best asset, no doubt.
But yeah, Disney's huge, and EA has to please Disney. But also to do that, EA has to make good games. Disney doesn't have to settle for 80s on Metacritic. They probably want your 85-90 range. Now, we don't want to focus too much on Metacritic score, but in general, EA has a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to continue this license, to do a good job with it now, so that this could just be a permanent staple for that company. Because everyone wants Star Wars.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the biggest cultural icons, probably the biggest cultural icon with movies and games and licensing materials. Yeah. They make an obscene amount of money.
Yeah, because the weird thing with this, too, is, Activision is breathing down their neck. Because Activision can just tell Disney, look at Destiny. Mm-hmm. It didn't even get good review scores, and yet look how well it sold. Look at Call of Duty. Look at how well Guitar Hero did, which we'll touch on more later. Tony Hawk, Activision has all these franchises. Even going to the Blizzard side, you have World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, Hearthstone. Activision makes a lot of money.
They get results.
Yeah. So I have to imagine EA is saying, all right, DICE, don't you dare mess this up.
It's kind of like they got the quarterback in right now, but they got that backup who's just waiting for that slip up, saying, Coach, hey, and they're real good in college. It's time to put me on the big stage.
And that backup is Lou Gehrig, for any of you who get that baseball joke. For those who don't get the joke, long story short, Lou Gehrig, the guy in front of Lou Gehrig was sick. And so he, couldn't play the game. And then they put Lou Gehrig in, and now, Hall of Famer, all this stuff, famous Yankee. So
I like how we went from saying quarterbacks, and now you're bringing up baseball.
Sports.
This is now Sports Report.
Let's shift focus.
This is now sports.
Bowling, curling, home runs.
Professional bowling league. Who's your favorite bowler?
Sammy Sosa.
Bob Corker from Tennessee.
Anyway, besides talking about Tennessee politicians, DICE, there's so much going for this, and you look at DICE, that company's huge.
Yes.
I don't know how feasible it is to have Battlefront come out perfectly, but they seem to be taking the right steps. Mm-hmm. I have to imagine everything else is probably going to get delayed, because I assume they're going to take resources and diverge everything so that everyone's working on Battlefront in some capacity, as well as you look at what is it? I can't even think of what I was going to say now. Walker, what are you thinking?
EA. That was an interesting point I said about EA and Activision, how they're competing with Disney. Disney's like, hey, you better reform. A lot of pressure.
I mean, definitely with Activision, when you look at the franchises that they've held and they've released, they're series that make lots of money. Call of Duty is
billions.
One of the biggest cash cows in the industry that's ever seen.
In entertainment in general.
Yeah, and it makes billions of dollars just on that name alone. Tony Hawk used to be one of the biggest. It was the biggest skateboarding game.
Was it the only? There was Skate, but
there was Skate, but that was late era. PS2 era was dominated by Tony Hawk. Game Boy Advance era. That was
going back to PS1 even.
Yeah, Tony Hawk skating stuff was owned by Activision and dominated that market. Also that time period. Skating was much bigger back then. I'm sure
that is
it
true.
Seemed to be much more prominent to me at least because Tony Hawk. That's when he was active.
Yeah, and every 90s TV show. Every 90s TV show had that one skater kid.
Every 90s kid had that skateboard and the snapback hat turned around.
So we can all agree that EA's got a lot of pressure.
Yes.
Activision breathing on their neck.
Yes.
And now, so if EA needs to produce, they've got to release this game before the movie. So release date being pushed back, not an option. So what do I'm hoping for? I'm hoping for just a game that looks finished. Maybe the features can come later.
Yes.
Maybe free DLC, maybe paid DLC, but
well, there will be free DLC. We do know that. It is confirmed. The Battle of Jakku, which is going to be that location plus 2 maps, like 2 maps on that planet, is free for anyone that buys it day.
Which I'd say free DLC from EA. That's something you never really hear from. EA's like
money.
The archetype from that is money.
Yeah.
And the concept within the public market is EA wants money. They're going to give you DLC for money. They're going to sell it to you. For them to have free DLC, I think that really just shows a whole lot in what they're putting into this project. They're going to kind of change their business market, their ideas.
I do have a theory about this. All right, so a lot of people have mentioned this doesn't exactly feel like a full DICE game. Usually, like Battlefield 4 had a ton of maps when it came out. Battlefront is looking at 8. There are going to be 8 maps. I think, period. I don't think there's going to be any more when the game comes out. So on one hand, you want to talk about hitting that release date, making it a bit easier. I know it's really hard to make a video game, but in my opinion, coming from a completely ignorant standpoint, I feel like if you're just focusing on 8 maps, it can't be impossible to get that done by November 17th. But, excuse me, when you look at the Battle of Jakku, I think Disney's telling them, hey, plug this in. we want this movie plug in episode 7.
Yeah.
Give us this. And then I'm thinking EA probably told them, we don't think we can get in 10 maps by November 17th. But give us 2 more weeks. We think we can have it finished.
That's interesting.
I would much rather that business model where they say, we're going to start with this concise idea, and we're going to make it polished, we're going to make it playable, and over the next course of, X amount of months, X amounts of weeks, we're going to expand out slowly, but it's going to be polished, it's going to be ready to go.
Yeah,
I like that business model a lot more than we're going to throw it,
Sure.
see what sticks at the wall, and fix it later.
Yeah. Look at Battlefront 4. That's one.
Yeah,
of
that's
the
exactly what
And
it
the
is.
other end of the spectrum, I would say, if y'all heard of Payday 2 on PC.
Oh, yeah.
I bought it when it first came out. A year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah, about 2 years.
And they are still giving people free content. They are
awesome.
still giving people. They've changed. They've overhauled just about everything. The file size used to be 40 gigs. They made it somehow go down to 15. But with keeping everything, they are so into that game. Now they are giving you paid DLC and going along. But man, it's just they've gone so much. And I bought a game and I was happy with my purchase. It was only $30, not a $60 game, and they have really bought into the fact that they want to please their customer.
I was thinking it's a better idea to have it delayed over time because that keeps people within that game. We think in the gaming industry, you can almost divide it by quarters of what people are playing. They go new release until they're just about seeing all the content of that new release. Oh, now this release is out. Go through this release. If you're doing it over time, let's say you release one new patch a quarter, so you're bringing people back at least one time a quarter to check it out.
That's very true.
If you have paid DLC along with it, maybe I'm back into it, I'll buy this, and you're getting little bits of money over time. It's kind of like an investment scheme, basically.
That is a great point. Dragon Age Inquisition was my personal game of the year for 2014. I think it's a phenomenal game. DLC came out for that recently. I have no interest in it. I love that game. I think it's one of the best games just on the on the next generation consoles, but there's no way I'm paying $15 for this DLC. And on the other hand, if they had just divided out the game a bit more and had given me free stuff so that I might be playing now, then maybe I'm in a Dragon Age mood again. I decide, hey, you know what? I would love to experience the story a bit more.
I mean, the same concept with that is that's how I felt about Skyrim. Skyrim was by far my favorite game of that year. And then when you look at the DLC took forever to come out too. I owned it on PS3 too, so that was even farther down the line.
Speaking of bad launches.
Yeah, bad launches. That was DLC that I didn't get until almost a year later, I think?
Yeah, I think it was
about a full year.
It was a full year.
By that point, my interest was gone. I didn't even get the DLC until I think I was given a network card for PlayStation Network, had nothing else to buy. At that point, after you've been away from the game so long, you come back with DLC, you're not into it.
No.
Yeah.
But if, say, Skyrim was like, hey, here's a little bit of a new region for you to check out, here's a little something else, as they go down the line, they said, oh, here you go. New stuff to do. And I'm like, all right,
They're just too late.
Yeah, by that point, especially with the delay of PS3 being a whole year,
You're not still into it?
Yeah, you want to keep interest of the people who have bought your game for as long as possible if you're trying to get as much money out of it.
Yeah.
You don't want, say, the train simulator method where you have over $2,000, I think, worth of DLC. All right, here you go. Have fun. Train simulator is notorious for having huge amounts of DLC. It's like $2,000 worth if you buy all
I
of it.
wonder if there's anyone who's actually bought
Well,
There has to be. There has to be.
I think
to be one.
I think their business model is like the opposite of the big name stuff, where EA's trying to get as much money from a wide audience. I think this one's like the cell phone gaming apps, where it's like we're not getting a lot of money from the wide consensus, but the people who bought all of our DLC have funded everything. Sure.
See,
the 5 people who bought $2,000 worth of DLC.
See, I think they're banking on 3 things. Rich people, they want to say, you see how rich I am? I bought $2,000 for Train Simulator. I think it's also going after children that steal their parents' credit cards.
Yes.
And finally, people that misread the numbers and think the period was a lot earlier than it actually was. $2, now that's a bargain.
That's wonderful. I got 500 new trains.
Now, we've discussed, the wonders of having, publishers keep giving you more and more content. But there is a caveat I see to this. With Payday 2, when I bought it, I thought this is a complete game, awesome, $30, fine. Now, make that game $60 and release me the same game at the same time. I don't know about that one, but at the end product where it is now, we're at $60. If Battlefront, the new one, gives you those eight maps, and then you're paying $60 for that, you might feel a little cheapskate at the beginning, and that's why I feel about Hardline. I don't know about that, but if they give you out more, it'd probably help you feel a bit better. But that is the one caveat: the pricing, the initial pricing.
Yeah, absolutely. One last note about Battlefront. I know Phil won't be able to say as much about this, but do you have any DLC hopes? Like, I know a lot of people have been saying, don't go to the prequels. Do you have any thoughts on just the DLC in general? Because that's a game that could make a lot of money.
Sure. DLC is huge. Prequels, yeah. I won't be mad if they do, but I wish they would spend it in new features, new frontiers. Again, bring back Galactic Conquest. Bring back all those big AI battles you had with your brothers, your little friends back at home, and just bring that back. And instant action, space battles. Come on.
I'm going to use all of my Star Wars knowledge in this one joke, so everyone be prepared. Everyone buckle in. The only DLC I want is the Jar Jar Binks voice announcer. Where every voice that goes through is now replaced with Jar Jar Binks.
Oh my god. I'm going to add to that a bit. Also, instead of having your player give out normal cries, it's Hayden Christensen's angsties. No, it's not fair every time you die. You've been sniped. It's not fair.
That is wonderful.
That's all right.
So, they would have to pay me to be able to have that DLC.
Can you imagine getting all your friends in there, they think they're about to play Battlefront, and then they die and they hear, it's not fair!
What was it? Was it...
Or having a Jar Jar announce,
was it Ghost, I think? Where you could buy the announcer pack in case it's Snoop Dogg or
Yeah.
Harley Ermy?
No way.
Yeah, you didn't know
that's
that?
a thing. That's a thing. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, what you could do is, like, the announcer says, we are in the lead. You can change it to Snoop Dogg. Hey, yo, dog, we got the lead. Or Harley Ermy just shouting things at you. I want that for Battlefront. Jar Jar Binks.
I will just quickly say, I love that kind of DLC where, it's completely irrelevant.
It's a joke, but
it's fun.
I want it.
It's easy to do and it's fun.
Now, okay, alright, do what you said about Jar Jar announcing. I would buy it if it was Jet Porkins saying just little lines of, I'm right around behind you, Red 3.
If it doesn't shout, it's a trap every time I blow up, my life is incomplete.
I can't hold it.
So for me, and just a general consensus, I am a horrible consumer because I'm just going to buy any DLC for that game.
No doubt about it.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's Star Wars. I will buy any DLC for that myself.
That's true.
I really hope EA
I hope they don't take advantage
I hope
of
they're
this.
not listening to this podcast.
Dear goodness.
My fingers are crossed, EA. I lied.
We love you, EA.
Please, Mr. EA, don't hurt us anymore.
Bow to our EA overlords.
Yeah.
Now, moving on, just speaking of comebacks, like Battlefront, this is a very big comeback.
It's about a decade in making.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
Is something that I didn't think we'd get again. And there are a lot of games recently that are making comebacks. You look at, big scheme of this month, it's Mortal Kombat X by far.
Oh, yeah.
That's a franchise that was dormant as anything for a while, and that came back. Tomb Raider, another game coming out later this year. It was dormant, a joke for a while.
And then it got rebooted and was critically received.
Yeah,
very well received.
Very loved game. You have that. And now you have, even the music games are coming back. We have all these comebacks. Do you think this is healthy for the industry? Or would you prefer to see new IPs?
I think to a certain point, reboots are okay if you're shaking up the formula. Like, the original Tomb Raider, compare that to, say, the reboot. You can see, where they're using the new generations.
Uncharted.
Uncharted. Yeah, so you can see where they're building upon it by doing the reboot and calling back and saying, all right, here's what we had, here's how we're making it better. But, Guitar Hero is coming back. They have Guitar Hero Live coming, and I think they've milked that concept for all it's worth already when you think about it. There's so many songs in the world. Even if you've taken a dormant break to get more songs later, it's done.
But now we can have Kesha with it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. When you think about the direction that music's taken since Guitar Hero was big, Guitar Hero was 2005, 2006? They had all the classic rock songs, all the hairband songs they could use. If they milked that up already, they waited a couple years, now it's 2015. What's big now? House music. Yeah.
Skrillex? How's that going to work?
How in the
They
world?
had DJ Hero, and it was abysmal.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was awful. It was awful. They want everyone to forget about it.
It came out at the worst possible time. I think, was it 11? I think that was 2011.
I think it was 2011.
And no one cared.
It was
music games.
It was when Guitar Hero and Rock Band were just dying. It was no one was buying it. So all right, shake up the formula. What do we do? Hey, that whole music genre where it's very difficult to make precise notes? Yeah, make that.
Reboots are just. I think you have to go case by case. It's kind of a hard thing to look. Star Wars Battlefront 2, my goodness. I love that game. I played that game on the computer or 2 years ago, and we love the game. It's just so much fun, and you can just keep going back to it. The AI has something to do with that, too, because they're good, and you can just keep playing. I'm okay with this Battlefront one. I love the fact that we're getting another Battlefront. Those music games, though, I mean, yes, there's getting to the point to where you're just milking it, and I think it's just case by case.
I mean, even if you're thinking about, like, Guitar is more of a party atmosphere. You invite a few friends over and just, play Guitar Hero. I mean, if you still have Guitar Hero, 1 or 2 on something, you can still boot that up. There's no reason for you to buy a new one that has
great
the
point.
songs. Also, I have a feeling what's going to happen with this one is there's going to be the microtransaction system. I can guarantee you the music selection is going to be pretty bare bones, but if you want more, DLC. I mean, even on the last few iterations of Rock Band Guitar Hero, that's what they did. It was whole albums you could buy for $2 to play on there. And I don't like that business market, especially since its time's done. It was huge in, 06, 07 was when it peaked,
and the price to pay to get into that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Right. I will quickly say right now, Rock Band has... They're working with Sony and Microsoft to see if you can use old instruments, which would be big. Now,
that would be good.
I did not keep my old instruments myself, but
we think about how much space they took up. 2 guitars, a microphone stand, and that damned drum set.
This is a game that is made for a college dorm, and yet you can't actually keep it in a college dorm.
There's no way. It takes up so much space and so much money to put into the peripherals.
Yeah. Now, Guitar Hero is a bit more feasible, and I believe the price point is $100. That also, with Rock Band's coming out this year, $100. You can't use old instruments. You get the guitar, but it's going to this first-person camera. I don't know if you guys have seen this footage, but it's... go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. Also, Guitar Hero, I mean, you can put as much in the background as you want. You're looking at the track line.
That's true.
You're looking at the green, blue, red, chord. I mean, even in the older Guitar Heroes, there's all this stuff and all these bright lights. You don't pay attention. You were locked in. You were zoned in. You were the clunk, 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 clunk. Also, if the new guitar peripherals don't make a little clunk every time you hit it, I'm done. That was the best part of the original Guitar Hero. It's a little tunk, 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 tunk,
yeah, that was great.
What do you think, Walker?
Guitar Hero, okay. $100 I can see if you want to play with 4 people. $100 for one person. Yeah. How much do you have to pay another guitar? That's a good question. I mean, you want to play with your friend, he must be on the bass or anything like that. I mean, can you even do that with Guitar Hero?
They haven't announced it, but I doubt it, because with the previous ones, you could go, you could have 2 people playing at once, but...
I'm getting my Rock Band and Guitar Hero.
Yeah, it's all blending together.
I think that's kind of what hurt them too, because they're not quite distinct enough. One of them, you have Guitar Hero, and then it's just Guitar Hero with some DLC almost, with the instruments.
I think, Rock Band is what we want, but there's just not feasible. The price is just...
I mean, the other thing with Rock Band is, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I play with friends, no one wanted to be the singer.
That's true.
Yeah.
No one ever did, because, I mean, it's such a finicky thing to have to play with the pitch for each person having an individual voice range, and the lyrics are so small in the thing, it's very difficult. I didn't want to be a singer.
No one wants to sing anyway.
Exactly. I mean, really, singing is best for, karaoke, where it's just a laughing, alright, everyone sucks kind of deal.
I mean, my dad, but he's 55.
Right. But when you're being graded on how well you sing in the game while everyone else is hitting the buttons, just cruising along, you gotta sit there, and
exactly.
It felt so unnatural.
Yeah.
That's why I like the idea of them going back to it's just guitar. Even if they include bass, that'd be fine, because I know bass is very integral to a lot of songs. You can even turn that to more of a central idea, but I just don't want them to try to go back to what they had that made them go into the recession as far as the rhythm games go.
Yeah, rhythm games did cause a national recession as well.
Yes, I mean, on it. I'm not saying they're related, but I'm not saying it.
It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, and as they're going up against each other, I think they'd have a hard enough time alone anyway, but now that they're going against each other...
All you're doing is splitting between 2.
But I will say, Activision gets... I give them so much credit for this business model. Alright, so they're using live action footage for their games, so think about this.
That something hasn't been done in years.
It hasn't been done since the 90s to my knowledge,
but
all that they have to do to make this game is make the track and make what you play and the guitar. So they do not have to worry about graphics whatsoever. So on one hand, even if they just sell 500,000 copies of this, they'll probably still make a profit because there's not too much
about is how much money do they have to spend on the music licensing rights?
Now that is a great question.
Because I mean, if they include, we'll say, 50 songs on release, especially if they're modern songs, imagine how much money that must be to throw this.
That's gotta be their biggest cost.
That's gotta be. I mean, that might be why they're getting rid of graphics. If they say, hey, we cut down on this, maybe they put more music into licensing.
Yeah.
Maybe they do have more songs.
There's a reason when you play Watch Dogs, the radio is songs that you've probably never heard.
Because it's easier to get no-name songs. I mean, GTA's done that for years. I mean, for them to have Kendrick Lamar was a huge jump in the series.
Yeah. And that's also the franchise we mentioned earlier has sold over 44 million of their fifth installment, so they have a little bit of extra cash to afford.
They have a little bit of leeway to say, let's get some actual artists on the band, not just whatever we can stretch out.
Let's not knock those people that are on that game.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas had a really good soundtrack, if I remember correctly, too. I mean, they had all the classic rock stations, I remember, had big name songs. They had Freebird, for God's sakes.
Wow. So it'll be interesting. I don't think they can both succeed. I don't think one will be a colossal failure, but I don't think this is going to start it all over again. I very much see this being a one-time thing. We might get a sequel or DLC, but this is not going to happen again, in my opinion.
The only thing that I can see good coming out of this is FMV becomes another integral part of video gaming history. I want a revival of it. You ever played any of those old 90s FMV games?
Yeah.
Oh, they're awful. They look so bad.
What if they
want it back.
I want FMV in first-person shooters.
Yes, exactly. I want point-and-click adventures back with FMV in a first-person shooter setting.
So on that note...
We'll call it the Rudy 2D point-and-shooting.
So speaking of franchises that should make a return, what franchises do you think that should make a return?
Oh, God, what do I want back?
Walker, do you have any in particular? Is it
my number one Battlefront? I can't get past Battlefront. Star Wars in general. Please, let's get more Star Wars games.
Yeah, and we will get it. Amy Hennig, the writer for the Uncharted series, is working with Visceral to make a single-player focused Star Wars experience. Now, Visceral's track record with gameplay, Dead Space. I love Dead Space myself. When they branched out and they had their second team work on Hardline, little sketchy, but if nothing else for a story, the Uncharted writer is making a Star Wars game. That is awesome.
Another one that I want to come back. Let's see some more World War II games.
Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, I think it's been an interesting turn if you look at first-person shooters. How it used to be nothing but World War II.
Exactly.
Because World War II is a very easy setting to dress up as. The Nazis are the bad guys. You're the good guys. Go get them, Tiger.
Everyone hates Nazis.
Yeah, and then they moved into Modern Warfare where it was terrorism, I'd say, was the big one of they're the bad guys, you guys go. Now it's a lot more future warfare stuff. I think there's a lot more into PMCs. It's kind of gone full circle.
Yeah.
So
I think Call of Duty is such a big part of it because they've really controlled where the industry goes. When they switched to Modern Warfare in 2007, everyone else switched.
Everyone did.
And now this past year they switched to Advanced Warfare, and now they're sticking with it this year with Black Ops 3. Tomorrow, by the time you listen to this, you'll probably have already seen it, but they will release the Black Ops 3 trailer tomorrow. I'm curious to see who else follows because also Halo 5. That's this year. That's another big futuristic one. I don't know if we'll see Battlefield in space or anything, but I mean even Battlefront. It's not a first-person shooter, but it's sci-fi. I don't know if that's going to be the next big thing, but
so with Black Ops 3 trailer stuff being announced right now, I say we each get one prediction in on what we're going to see in the trailer.
Let's do it.
On top.
Let's go
around circle. Jay, Walker, myself. What do you think is going to be in that trailer?
A celebrity. They had Kevin Spacey last year. Let's make can I add something? How about we each guess the celebrity?
Oh, I like that idea.
I feel they use celebrities a lot.
They do.
I think we're gonna have another one. All right, let me think about this. Let's get back on this at the end. We'll talk about this and give a prediction. Yeah. Maybe a person, maybe just something in general.
All right, my prediction.
Okay.
At the end, you'll see the end credits, and then something will flash up at the end. Zombies.
Okay.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It's not really bold.
It's not a bold prediction, let's be honest.
It's very hard, but hey.
Yeah, they're going to... The entire trailer's going to be the first person, here are the little cutscenes, here's what you're going to see, explosions, whole bunch of pretty guns, and at the end, zombies.
Yeah, just reminding people, we're the zombie people.
Yeah, by the way, remember that thing you like to play? Yeah,
we are the good Call of Duty developer.
Yeah, we're the one that has the things you want.
Yep.
I think in the trailer they are going to try to go for the melodramatic intro.
Yeah,
and then over the top explosions, and the two just should not go together.
There's gonna be some heavy rock soundtrack too.
Yeah, so there's gonna be some kind of just heavy metal, the real born, just simple riff.
Trying to think what other actor would be relevant because Kevin Spacey's so relevant.
Well, here's because House of Cards. I mean, he does such a good role of being, I'm smarter than you, I am the bad guy, mustache twirl, and I want to manipulate you. Which I think fit well to what Call of Duty was trying to go for in that one.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, though, when you hear Kevin Spacey in the game, you're like, oh, cool, Kevin Spacey's the bad guy. There's no other thing that Kevin Spacey could have been.
Yeah, like, it's supposed to be, I think, a big deal. I mean, I didn't even play Advanced Warfare, to be honest. I think it's supposed to be a big deal. He's the bad guy, but I think we're all in general consensus. There's no way he's not the bad guy.
Since that's a plot twist, like, the big one is, surprise, he's bad. I mean, there'll be other ones that come around people who don't know who Kevin Spacey is.
It seems like it's pretty much, the president in House of Cards playing a Call of Duty villain.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with it, because it is important to note this is Treyarch. They are pretty good when it comes to Call of Duty. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Now, Nintendo has a lot of franchises that could come back. You have F-Zero. You have the Ice Climbers. Let's see, what are some others we'd put in that category?
Who have they recently brought back into
Metroid.
Brothers? Yeah.
Sorry, I just thought that too.
Yeah,
Metroid.
They haven't had a Metroid yet for next gen, have they?
No, they haven't had one since Other M, and most people don't even count that.
Well, Other M, that one was what, Team Ninja?
Yeah, Team Ninja.
One? Yeah, that one they say doesn't even count within the official canon of
people hate that game.
Well, because they tried to shake up the formula too much. I can see why people wouldn't really count it.
It's like the prequel of Metroids.
Yeah, there you go. The one that everyone just shuffles away. Oh, that one didn't count. That one sucked. I think as far as bringing back certain IPs, for the longest time I want Sly Cooper to come back. But the way that they ended the series, I was like, leaving it there might be better. And I heard, it's coming back, and I was like, all right, I like that. I don't know if it counts as bringing back, but I think Kingdom Hearts has been sitting for so long that if we don't count any of the side games, Kingdom Hearts 3 I consider a reboot at this point. I'll add so long.
Yeah, I'll add Half-Life to that list of franchises.
Yes, if Half-Life comes out, that's the reboot. That's what we're going back.
I will mention one game.
Yeah, go for it.
Yes.
Banjo and Kazooie.
Yes, and the original formula.
Yes,
not what Xbox tried.
Not that one. Give us another one.
Yeah, now.
Yes, the original just platforming around.
Beautiful.
That was good. The original N64 one was my favorite game of N64.
Awesome.
Now, it is worth mentioning, Walker, that I forgot who it is specifically, but a lot of the key people on the Rare teams back then that made it, they are making that, spiritual successor. We'll see. We should see it sometime this year.
Now, is Rare still not with Nintendo? Is that still not?
Microsoft still owns Rare, and Rare is their last game was Kinect Sports Season 2. If that tells you.
I kind of feel bad for Rare. Like, I think Rare kind of had they're like the wife, and they said to the husband, I'm leaving you, and then they realized what they went into was not what they had. Now they're chained up in the basement of Microsoft.
Yeah, but
every now and again, Microsoft kind of throws them a little bit nourishment, a little bone to nibble on. We need something new.
He seems like a nice guy, and oh wait, you're ISIS.
Yep, surprise.
Okay. No, Microsoft's not ISIS. But
well, I mean,
that's a weird situation.
I'm not saying they're not, but I'm not saying it.
Yeah, it's a weird situation for sure.
Yeah. I think it's a very interesting way game development has gone. Is a lot of these companies that made 1-2 very good games are being absorbed by bigger companies, and then next thing you know, they're being tossed other things to make.
Yeah,
I think the best business model would be find what they made good and say, we're going to absorb you, we're going to make profit of what you make, we're going to make sure you have the ability and the tools and utensils you need to make it, and we all succeed. Yeah. But instead, the business model seems to be get as many IPs as possible. Yeah. Spread yourself thin.
I just hope we create those IPs, because they keep those IPs for a while, but not a ton being made, all things considered. Certainly that there are quite a few right now, but, in the grand scheme of things, we still mainly see sequels, which makes sense and isn't necessarily a bad thing, because when you have a sequel, you can kind of look at the first and, learn from what you did right and continue that, and also fix what you did wrong. But you don't really get innovation too much without getting new IPs.
Right. Now, one thing I do want Nintendo to do is if they're going to continually milk Mario for all he's worth, shake up the formula. I mean, every system, I think, has had that one Mario game that kind of opens it up. I mean, the N64, that was Mario's first venture into 3D. That was a landmark game in the series.
It was a launch title, too.
Can you imagine? That is one of the biggest name launch titles you can think of as far as history goes.
It's just that in Halo, in my opinion, of these gigantic, innovative titles we still talk about.
Made so much, yeah. And then Sunshine was on the GameCube, and it wasn't the best received, I think, as far as, showing what the GameCube could offer graphics-wise. Sunshine had it. Galaxy was a huge shake-up to the formula that the Wii did. That was great. The Wii U... We're still waiting on something.
Yeah, 3D Land didn't really do it for most.
I'll predict what the next thing is.
Okay.
Mario first-person shooter.
After the Mario RTS.
Yeah. Well, first thing, once you get the Fire Flower, it goes first-person mode.
Okay.
There we go. It's kind of, they're going to keep the formula, shake it a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
I just wanted to come back and what I consider the Batman v Superman style. I want it dark, unnecessarily gritty.
Oh.
And I want it to just be Mario versus Luigi.
M-rated.
M-rated, Dawn of Mushroom.
Well, here's what
Wow.
I find interesting with Mario is that they keep Mario so bland and boring as a character. Like, there's not a whole lot going on though. But then you look at Luigi, who has like characterization. Like, if you look at Luigi's Mansion, they give him little tweets and stuff like
Little character
he says
development,
hello every time he walks in a room. He screams names. Mario, what's he do in the games? Yahoo! That's why I said they keep Mario as bland as possible. The characters around him, they actually kind of develop.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I'd like to see them focus more on other IPs or other characters than Mario. So I feel that's where Nintendo excels quality-wise.
Yeah.
They probably make more money off of Mario, no doubt, but...
Now, before we move on, I just have one last game that I want to mention. The Chrono Trigger series.
oh, man.
I love that. That's fine. Not all of us have played it. Older game back on the SNES. There was a sequel for the PS1, but I mean that's a franchise that's been dormant.
That's been
nothing.
years.
Like I think if they just remade Chrono Trigger, I mean I'd buy it. I think a lot of people would buy it, get into it, and then from there, see what you want to do. Maybe make a series out of it because Square has a lot of good franchises from a business perspective, but they also have a lot of franchises that aren't doing as well as they used to. So I will say I'd love to see some of those old JRPGs come back.
I'd say in the era of Kickstarter, I'd say it's very possible for the old JRPGs to be remade. I mean, if you look at all the games that have been remade as a Kickstarter back, I mean, Shaq Fu 2 is going to be made now. If that can get funded, I think we have a good chance.
That
of
is why
getting
Kickstarter
decent
exists.
games. Like, the fact that Shaq is also involved in making a Shaq Fu 2, there is just hope for anything now.
Now, the problem, though, why I don't think that could happen, Square Enix owns it.
Right.
You couldn't just... Now, it is worth mentioning, like, Half-Life. People have remade the original Half-Life. Valve is all for it. They have a great attitude about it. I don't think Square Enix is going to have the same attitude. I think they're going to see it more as,
But no, mine.
Yeah. All right, now...
This
go
is
ahead.
mine. I will do with this as I want. I don't care how much money you raised. These are my toys. I'm going to go in my corner and play with my toys.
I brought them.
Exactly. I brought the toys. I play with them. You can sit and watch.
I don't care if your name's on it. Now, there was a little bit of controversy this week. Recently, as of just this week, Valve announced that you can actually profit off your mods. You can sell mods. Now, for years and years, mods have been one of the biggest assets of the PC gaming community. They have been nothing but a positive. And, now I'm getting a little bit more businessy. To my knowledge, y'all would know more about this than I would. Have there ever been anything besides just donations? I know there are some donation pages, but is there anything more than that?
Some websites will kind of... If you wanted to make money off of it, you could find a website, publish it, and get money off it. If you felt like, I put enough work into it, I can't just release it for free for the love of it. I can't remember any names of websites right now, but I know Gary's Mod used to have a lot that you could buy if you put enough time into it and felt like you could release it. But to have it do through the Steam Workshop, that's something that's never been done.
Yeah. My initial impressions was...
let's also mention the big controversy with this, though, is that Steam gets 75% of it.
75%.
Yes.
75% of it
And
goes to Steam.
The mod maker only gets their 25% share if it makes more than $100 total.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yes,
realize
that's
that.
something new development. I heard that. Now there's a whole lot of rumors going around. I did not see it on a totally reputable website, so I don't know how true that is. But if that's true, that's monumental. If they only get their money after they sold $100.
No, I guess it's kind of a loss either way, though. They're not going to make much of it if it doesn't get there, but that is a good point. Now, Walker, go ahead.
My initial impressions when I saw it on the Steam homepage was pay for workshop mods of, Skyrim. And I was like, good. That was my first initial thought, was good. And I was like, finally, these modders are being compensated for, putting all that hard time and effort into their mods. And then, as I thought about it, gave it a couple hours, just thought about it again, I was like, this could open up a whole new can of worms here, and people could, as far as I know, there's no quality control. You buy it, and then you're stuck with whatever you get.
Well, the other thing with the mod community is it's not like DLC. It's huge in how much content there is that you can get. And there's no guarantee that it'll work together. So let's say I spend $5 on this mod for, a graphics change. Then I drop $5 on a gameplay mod. There's no guarantee the two will work together. And all of a sudden, I'm being an upset consumer now. And I just don't like the whole system of it. I like the idea of, say, if every time I get a mod, it pops up donation screen.
Yeah.
You set your price, and the mod creator gets not 25%, maybe not all of it. Maybe Steam feels like, for hosting it, their server costs Steam. Maybe, 20% cut or, 10% cut. Just something minuscule.
That's a good
The mod creator is the one who put all the effort into it, their time into it. Steam just hosts it. And I feel like what might happen with Steam now is there's Nexus online where you can host it. You don't have to do it through Steam.
You don't have to do it.
So I feel like this. I think this is just Valve shooting themselves in the foot as far as making it.
This is not the way it needed to go. I think that's a great idea in terms of like you subscribe to a mod. That's how you do it. You just press subscribe. The next time you open up the game, it downloads the games, whatever. I think when you close the game after that session, it should give you a link or send you a little pop up message. Here's your mods. Donate if you want, and then that'll make the user think about it.
Yeah.
You get a piece of software. And now the user, once you've used it, you're like, this is pretty good, and then you can actually think about, it puts it into your mind that, there's someone else who worked on this, someone who put a lot of time and effort into this, and maybe I should help them out or something.
I think another positive might come from this as far as making people realize, money into the modding community, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe people will do it now more completely. Maybe it won't just be developers or modders thinking, I'll do it for the love of it, I'll do it because I like it. Maybe now with some incentive, maybe it'll be more mods, more quality mods. But on the other hand, there could be quick profit people. I know there's a mod that was released that adds an extra apple to scenery in certain bars. $30. So, the quality control is just not there right now. Depending on the way it goes, it could be great, it could be awful. Right now, it's just not looking great.
No. I personally kind of come at this from a different perspective. Steam is a huge platform. To my knowledge, I personally don't know any PC gamers that, don't use Steam. Everyone uses it. Everyone except EA, I think, puts their quality, puts
Origin,
their products.
Ubisoft has something.
The thing is, Ubisoft still puts their games on Steam. That's the funny thing.
But when you press play,
you have to direct through. And then EA is all on Origin.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's massive. And the modding community is big, and it's something that's been happening entirely under Valve's umbrella, and Valve hasn't been getting, any compensation for it. So from a business standpoint, I do understand this is a really big part of it. This is a big deal. I think we should take a cut of this. And on one hand also, these are people that were not getting money previously. Well, now they can. And it is completely optional, correct, to set this up. So nothing has to change.
There are still free mods in there. As soon as you open the mod page, there's filter for paid and free.
Okay.
Yeah,
but as a mod creator, unless I'm just completely up in arms, I'm doing it for the love of it, I'm going to expect 50 cents or something my way.
Yeah.
So I feel like free modding is not going to be as prevalent as far as in comparison to the paid one.
Well, I am for this overall. I have two questions. My first question, 75%. How did they come to that number exactly? That's a very that's a huge chunk. That's 3/4. 3/4. If I give you a pie and then I eat 3/4 of it, not gonna be too happy.
No, you make the pie.
That is true.
I baked the pie.
For letting me use your oven, I'm gonna give you the 3/4. I get a quarter.
That's a perfect analogy.
Well, I don't even think using the oven is a proper thing because you make it in the oven. You make it yourself
That's
in your oven. I let it cool on your windowsill.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm in your house.
Yeah.
I'm in your house for some reason.
How'd you get in my house?
For some reason, I made a pie on my stove that's in my house and your house.
Who knows?
This analogy is broken down some sort of way.
Half-Life 3 confirmed?
Yes.
3/4?
Half-Life 3 1/4 confirmed.
Oh dear.
So I don't know. They weren't getting any money and now they are. So I do like that aspect, but I do wonder, should Steam be getting this money? Because certainly they pay for the licensing for all this. But let's talk about Skyrim. Skyrim is by far from I think we all agree the biggest game for mods
right now.
Except Grand Theft Auto might.
Gary's Mod is like the mod game, but
it has mod in the name.
That's the point of Gary's Mod, so we'll throw that one out.
Skyrim. Let's say Skyrim GTA 5, because GTA 5 is, I'm sure we'll pass it.
Oh, it's going to get huge in GTA 5 mod soon.
You look at those two games, and Bethesda, huge company, under the ZeniMax umbrella, they don't really need money, but at the same time, Steam even might pay for the licensing, but I don't know if it's right for Steam to take all that 75 and Bethesda not get any of that. And then same with Rockstar. Rockstar is under that big Take-Two umbrella. Seems like they should all get that.
I will say this, on the technical side, when a game developer releases their game, they can decide to make their game development kit available to people to be able to mod. So I think there needs to be some incentive, like for Skyrim it worked out perfectly because it brought a crap ton of people to mod their games and just increase the lifetime of their game. It worked perfectly, but
and
in
if you look
the
at
future,
the quality of what they made for Skyrim, it wasn't just there was a lot. There were graphics changes, there were gameplay changes, there were visual changes.
I think there needs to be some more incentive for those game developers. If there's an incentive like monetization, giving more money to the actual developers, maybe not so much to Steam, then we can probably see more games giving that ability. Not just Skyrim, but I'm not gonna throw a game out there like Star Wars Battlefront.
I was thinking,
what if we had mods for Star Wars Battlefront? That would be pretty cool. But, that's just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Those mods probably will be Jar Jar and Hayden Christensen.
I think this kind of ties back to what we said earlier about how you want to keep consumers expanded upon the game. If I'm getting mods for free on, say, Skyrim, I can beat the game once on vanilla and then go back with this mod, play again with this mod, play with this mod. That's why I think PC probably had the best option with DLC for Skyrim.
Sure.
You still had people playing.
That was a great point, yeah.
I think to make you have to pay for the mod, that's going to really hurt the idea of keeping the consumer in the game for the longest time frame possible.
Good point.
Any concluding thoughts on this topic?
My conclusion, I like the idea of giving money to the modders, but let's go about it in a different way. We could either have that donation page show up on your face and make you think about it, or we could, have it monetized, but give more money to those, game developers, to the modders, and just to give a little bit to Steam.
I am already so up in arms against it. I've already deleted Steam off of my OS and now operate entirely out of Origin.
That's obviously a lie.
That is not true. No one would ever do that on purpose.
What about Uplay?
Oh, well,
only use Uplay?
Uplay. What can I say? That's the only thing I use
I've
these
moved
days.
exclusively to Flash browser games.
I only play in-browser games these days. Oh, man. I think the idea of money going to the mod, great idea. The amount of percentage that's being cut has been done completely incorrectly. Unless they fix that, it's just not going to work out.
Yeah. Well, y'all have pretty much summed up my thoughts for the most part, so I'm just going to hit on just two little things. Valve, Gabe Newell, make Half-Life 3. Valve, Gabe Newell, make Portal 3. That's all I have to say about this topic. Spend less time on these mod stuff. I don't care. Just make us Half-Life 3. Where are you, Gordon Freeman? Phil, what are you playing right now?
Currently I'm playing a lot of throwback games. I'm playing a lot of Sims 3 because I refused to buy Sims 4 from EA. I've been playing a lot more GameCube games, and I played Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 last night.
Nice. Now, you're also making a PC, correct?
Yes, I'm in the process of building it. I have all the kits lined up. I spent all of my money on the fans and the case. I plan to have it so loud if I don't play music while I play, I just hear the soft purring of the computer from a mile away.
Make sure you change the oil in that computer, though.
I don't use oil. I just use pure ethanol. I use the pull chain start system. So I put one foot on top of the tower, and I rip the cord, and then you just hear all 20 fans rip up at once.
And then you mow your grass.
Yes.
With those fans.
Yes. I don't use AC anymore. It's just my tower runs my AC.
Stick your face in the tower.
Exactly.
Now, Walker, I know you're helping him with that.
Yeah.
How is everything going with just the creation of this?
I was surprised that I looked up on YouTube the performance of the combination of the CPU and the graphics card, and I am impressed. This is something it's something that I'm impressed with.
I think it should go over knowing that this is the first PC I've ever built, and I am not an electrical engineer, computer engineer by any realm of possibility. So I went on to Newegg, was like, it looks nice. Yeah, sure, these specs look like, these are numbers. And I walked to Walker, who has built a PC. I said, do these numbers make sense with these numbers? And
those were reasonable for the most part, but I was like, hey, let's start here.
Yeah.
And start here. But
that's been going pretty well right now.
Yeah. But as far as what I'm playing, since you're going to ask me that, I'm playing. I just got done with Witcher 2. Excuse me.
You got it early?
Yeah,
early access.
What?
I played The Witcher 2 because I heard 3 was coming out, and I was like, you know what? It's been so long since I've been hyped for a game. I'm going to see if I can, and I am so hyped for this game. Witcher 2 was fantastic. I can't wait for Witcher 3. But what I'm playing right now, I'm playing this game called Heroes and Generals on the computer. It's a free-to-play game.
that one.
It's a World War II game, a game that I've been wanting to play for.
Now, is that the one where you can ride bicycles in the game?
Yes, you can
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
It's a fun game.
Skyrim with bicycles.
10 out of 10.
10.
Like Skyrim with bicycles.
But yeah.
With paid mod bicycles.
Paid by subscription. Alright, yeah, that's about all I'm playing right now.
Gotcha. Well, I recently finished Bloodborne. Excellent game from Software. They know their stuff. And as I wait for The Witcher 3 myself, I've just been kind of messing around with Watch Dogs. That's a game that came out, and I was not a fan of it. It was very much a victim of the hype train when it first came out, but kind of went back to it, started over, and I've been really enjoying it, just going with different perspective.
I think if you get away from the hype of that game, it's not bad, but there's no way it could live up to the hype that
That's
it was
so true.
put on.
Yeah, so many games of just...
Motor Racing 66?
Maybe not that one. Well, hey, thanks everyone for listening. If you really listened this far, I am impressed, and we would also like to talk to you. You can leave a comment. We'll give you our phone numbers, our social security numbers, all that stuff. We'll be best buddies.
Add me on Origin. My name, my Origin name is Too Cool for Steam, and I also have a second account called Gabe Newell is the False God.
Okay.
You can find me on MySpace, Walker.
I just use Yahoo Mail. So if you want to get plugged in there,
Yep.
or on the chats on those Flash Play games online.
Yep. Look for me in the comment section under Love to Win.
But really, do comment. We'd love to talk to you, and thank you for listening. All right, Walker, Phil, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Drop the Hebrew hammer.